All right, guys, always getting questions about zoning and setbacks and height restrictions and all that stuff, so I figured it's a good time to start a video. This is a property up in Northwest DC that one of my friends was asking me about, and particularly he had some questions on some setbacks. I'm going to pull it up real quick while we're sitting here so you can actually get a real life example. Where is he at? He wants to know something about setbacks. Also, an addition on the right, and when he wants to know about lot line. So, what we're going to do, whoops, wrong one. We're going to first look at, this is the property, 5121 Northwest Washington, D.C. Go ahead and put that in the map real quick so we can see where it is. And the thing that we want to do first and foremost, this is in the northwest section of D.C. Over to almost Chevy Chase and Friendship Heights, all that stuff's up here, Somerset. So the first thing we want to do is, what is the zoning in this area? So we're going to go to the DC zoning map, and we're going to figure out what section it's in. And there's a whole lot of rules that can supersede this, but on a simplistic level, which a single family home usually is, it's usually very typical. When you start to get into complex developments in like Northwest DC, down by the White House and such like that, you might have overlay districts and historic districts and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So this pulled up right here, and you can see that we are in an R2. So that is the actual zoning area. And the way that they break these squares up is there's suffixes, squares, and lots, which are right here, and you can reference the tax record. So this is in square 1654, and it's in lot 0805, which you can see as we zoom in here. There's a lot 0805, and sometimes they break these into squares to make it or into a suffix, but this is not applicable. So this is a square and then a lot, right? And then a little bit more about it. They break it down here into the zoning land use, and sometimes DC makes it, ironically, DC makes it easy. Other places you'll have to go and figure out the zoning ordinance. So let's just say this is in Arlington County, Virginia. I'll show you real quick. In DC, you just go down here and click it, and it tells you exactly what the zoning is in their zoning book right here. But let's just say you're across the river in Arlington, Virginia. You would have to go to Arlington, Virginia, zoning ordinance, and let's just say we're hypothetically in an R1. You're going to have to actually find it, which is right here. And this is the zoning ordinance for Arlington, Virginia. And then you're going to search, let's say hypothetically it's R1. R1 is one residential lot per acre. I don't know why it's so slow. Well, DC is the one screwing this up. Let me knock that out real quick. And as you can see, we have residential districts, and we're going to go to, where's R1? There's R10. I don't see R1 here, but it doesn't really matter. Let's just say it was an R5, right? So we're going to go to R5, and then this is the R5, one family and restricted two-family dwelling units, blah, blah, blah. And this is the whole zoning ordinance. So again, some districts have it differently. Well, you'll break up the zoning map and the actual zoning ordinance. But for DC, we're going to go click it here. And I'm going to put it on pause while it searches. Sometimes these things are slow. Hold on a second. So I was just saying this was an easy click of a button just by going here. I had to wait over 15 minutes and reload the page. Excuse me, right here. Reload the page about 15 times just for it to work. So anyway, going back to the yard setback. So these are the development standards for an R2. And what we were looking at initially was what was the, well, in DC language, rear yard. That is actually rear yard. You need 20 feet minimum. That's pretty funny. And you need side yard 8 feet. So there's a little note here Single living door. Okay, that doesn't really apply. So besides that, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking for this 8 feet because what my friend wants to do is add an extension. So what I did was I went to Google Maps, Google Earth, whatever you want to go to. And we're going to go ahead and search for the address. That'll bring us back down to here. And I'm going to clear my current measurement. I was just doing it for shits and giggles. So here we are. And he wanted to add an extension on the right side of the property, I do believe. So if we look here at Google, where is it? That definitely just jumped. Hold on a second. This is Street View off the corner on Harrison. So it's one of these houses right here, but essentially what he wants to do is add an extension, I think over here or over there, whatever it is. So what we're going to need to do is check the offsets. And so we're going to zoom in on this property and we're going to right click on it. And this shadow is a little bit deceiving, but this is the actual shadow, this is the actual building. And remember, the side yard was, what was it, 8 feet? So if we wanted to do an extension on this particular lot, make sure that that's it. Yeah, it's the one that hooks like that. And there's the one that hooks like that. So if you wanted to add an extension, you would right click, do your measurements. And right now, roughly, you have 17 feet, whatever. So you need a minimum of 8 feet on the side yard, so you can hypothetically add an extension roughly about 8 feet off of the building, something like that. So you can add, I'm just throwing a dart at the wall, but 8 times, let's call it 20, so 160, 170 square feet is where this would end up, with the extension going about right somewhere like that. So anyway, just throwing a dart out there, but that's about roughly what you can add. And if you're going to do that, obviously excavate, you'd have 180. Let's just do the math real quick. 185 times excavating 1 floor plus 2 more above. Add another 550 feet if you went 4 floors. You'd be a little bit higher up. So that's essentially what you can add, and that's exactly how you calculate it. The only other thing that we can look at is the read yard. In DC language, that's rear yard, but you need a minimum of 20. So we'll look at where the existing house is, and we'll clear the measurements real quick. All right, clear measurements, and we got roughly, it says 11.6, but the thing is this could be grandfathered in. So the structure of this building, I'm sure, was built 50, 60 years ago. The zoning ordinance changed, whatever. So really, given that you only have 11 feet in the back and you need a rear yard of now 20, you probably can't add anything at all. Actually, if you rip down this wall, you'd probably by code have to bring it back to 20, so the setback actually worked. So you'd have to really look into that. Likely what you would be able to do is keep the structure of the building and add vertical height. So let's look at that. If you wanted to, he's really looking for density at the end of the day. So height is now 40 feet or 3 stories. So I think I know that we're at 2 stories right now. I think you can add another floor onto it because you can go up to 40 feet real quick. Real quickly, I'll just look at that.